So firstly, thanks to the organizers who made this symposium possible. The title of this conference suggests the idea of a shift between two paradigms. On one side, several crises are coming and capitalism seems to turn into fascism to remain in power. On the other side, people are starting changes, but this resistance is also commodified. I will study this uncanny ambiguity in popular culture. Firstly, I will begin by demonstrating the growing mistrust in society towards capitalism. I will then study the drive for change in Alterity. Lastly, I will show how the future is being prepared to survive the end of our current system. I believe that many of the problems highlighted by Mike Fisher are becoming visible with today's artistic creations. We have, for example, the movie Parasite from Bong Joon-ho, released in 2019. The film is about a poor family struggling with debt and living in semi-underground flats. Their only way to survive is to create fake experiences and degrees to get hired by a rich family. This situation enables problems like systemic mental illness, hatred towards the poor, and poor quality of life to be more visible. But our attention will be focused on the concept of parasite. Mark Fisher compared capitalism with the unnameable thing, like the parasite from Carpenter's The Thing. It is the abstract system making us guilty and absorbing every counterculture. Like the ghost, who is also represented in the image you see here, the parasite is an hidden object. It can be the malware destroying the system or a collective organism modifying a being from the inside. It is used both by capitalism and resistance. In the film Parasite, people don't feel guilt. They parasite the rich to survive. Despite their intelligence, the poor are forced to cheat. By doing so, the film is destroying the idea of meritocracy. It is also resurrecting class consciousness. This image is taken from a beautiful scene where the poor family must run down like what seems infinite stairs to escape from the rich's house. Afterwards, they go down what seems like, once they arrive, everything is flooded, every hope seems gone, and everything will be worse. The symbol of stairs can, of course, remind us of Battleship Potemkin from Eisenstein. Eisenstein used this symbol to express the huge violence of repression against revolutionaries coming from the Tsar and the rich class. Stairs are used like a fall into violence and death. Parasite Fall is no less a dive into violence and a collective symbol. In The Joker, who was also a huge success, we have a closely related content about capitalism, systemic mental illness, and class consciousness. Stairs are once again used to express violence. You can notice the importance of this scene, who became a popular meme shared in social medias. At this time, the Joker finally breakdanced completely after having been too neglected by society. The modification and sharing of this symbol can reflect intercreativity. I will talk more about intercreativity later, but for now, what is important is the way a symbol can be taken back from popular culture to create praxis. What made the Joker popular is maybe the way he tried to connect with people during all the film. In reality, people connect with the Joker because of the idea behind him. The idea consists of resisting and sending back the violence, as well as showing how capitalism can create monsters. The Joker's face was used like a mask to create a feeling of community. You have here a protester holding the Lebanon flag. Numerous examples can be seen around the world. Here, it's a Joker protester in Chile holding the Mapuche flag. The Mapuche are a group of indigenous inhabitants in South America who are also repressed by capitalism. Here, there are French firefighters who were disguised to protest the destruction of our retirement system. A lot of workers, from teachers to lawyers and doctors in France, have been in strike for 2 months now. This follows a year of yellow vest protests repressed with violence. According to the French journalist David Dufresne, between November 2018 and January 2020, we had 2 people killed, 323 injured protesters shot or hit to the head, 25 people losing an eye, and 5 people losing a hand. We also had a student setting himself on fire, or people starting a hunger strike. When the Yellow Vest protests occurred in France, it was quite common to see the mask of V for Vendetta, referring to the same unicity around the will for change. The Yellow Vest was also used as a symbol of coalition. The collective face became a symbol used in both protests and fiction. Therefore, it creates an uncanny mirror between commodified revolution and praxis. In the TV show Mr. Robot, a similar pattern can be seen with the mask of F Society. F Society is a group of hackers trying to destroy capitalism and wearing masks like the famous anonymous hacker group. This image is taken from the TV show, but you might think of our world having this kind of scene. Indeed, popular culture seems to connect so much with our reality that impotent dystopia no longer works. It's because the dystopia is already here. More and more of the pessimistic fiction we created in our surgery are becoming real. This is what Mr. Robot is about. The plot deals with the idea of mental illness, depression, and suffering caused by capitalism. But it is also about split personality disorders, about the will for change, and the uncertainty behind it. You will see many shots like this one in Mr. Robot, where people are isolated into a corner of the screen. This character is always trying to connect with people. In fact, he connects with us by breaking the fourth wall and talking to us, his imaginary friends. Also, the show is trying to connect with us as well by referring to late 90s shows like Fight Club, Requiem for a Dream, American Psycho, or David Lynch's work. The plot itself seems more to tell us about our need for revolution and our fantasies behind it. This uncanny mirror culture could bridge connection between fantasized revolution and praxis. This search for change and alterity is something I will now study with the concept of freaks. Freaks, like parasites, embrace the notion of the uncanny. They are split between humans and monsters. Since freak shows are colonial exhibitions, freaks could relate to any people being exhibited for its alterity, most of the time because of its body. The Parasite family, the Joker, and Elliot from Mr. Robot were all freaks. They don't feel like they belong to society. Many electronic music artists glorify this freaks ontology. It is what the musician and director Flying Lotus did with this movie, Skinflick, who was an ode to his friend Bob Eslip, suffering from neurofibromatosis. Electronic music records labels like Warp Records, Brainfeeder, or Planet Mu have similar aesthetics focused on alterity. The sound often seems organic with micro rhythms and strange textures. As a result, sound and visual match in a freak's iconography. Here you have a frame of our own collaboration with the artist Ruby My Dear, resulted in freaks babies becoming human, then animals, to promote the album Bram. The idea in this work was to express alterity with mutation and freaks. In a similar fashion, Jessicanda is an artist who worked with Björk and Auteker. Here you have a picture of Trauma Scene 1, an artwork he created with Auteker. Babies were dancing, expressing a trauma. Like the parasite, the trauma is hidden inside and can change our being. All of this can be related to a search for alterity. Here you can see Auteker expressing identity issues with this kind of aesthetic. Freaks iconography can be considered as an existential sensibility to alterity and to a Lovecraftian cosmic horror. Cosmic horror is closely related to capitalism problems. It acknowledges minorities and systemic oppression. It is the fear of the unknown, and it makes visible the alienation of capitalism and technology. For Baudrillard, alterity is haunting us and preventing us to achieve the end of history. His work with Marc Guillaume supports the idea of our network promoting alterity with the possibility of being anonymous. For them, there is hope in this. Anonymous people could be cut from their social backgrounds and could free their imagination. A good example of this strategy is the work of FXTwin. For a long time, FXTwin used his face like a mask to work on the uncanny. Here you can see a photograph of screens in the Pitchfork Festival in Paris, where FXTwin was playing live. Camera operators were broadcasting people's faces on screens, and it would be overlaid with FXTwin's smoke. What is interesting here is that uncanny mirrors were used again to let people connect. Their faces were also projected on screens into French pop culture personalities like politics, actors, and musicians. You can see here someone put into Mireille Mathieu's face, a French singer from the 80s, and FXTwin's face would occupy the same image as well. But the more important move here is the way the last audiovisual live in a Rock en Scène festival would absorb and use new popular personality, like the infamous Alexandre Benalla. Alexandre Benalla was the French bodyguard for the current French president, Emmanuel Macron. He was accused of being disguised like a policeman to beat protesters, taking care of illegal contracts with a Russian oligarch, and hiding a special safe with the help of the government. The face appears without the nose in reference to FXTwin's last album, Cyro. People went crazy when Benalla's face appeared, but here was also many other politics, artists, journalists, and pop culture personalities. FXTwin was reversing the alterity, exhibiting the parasite inside the system. His show would create class consciousness as well. And what can be seen sometimes in protests? The same face becoming a symbol. So as FXTwin's work reveals the error of capitalism, transforming bodies and faces, Glitch reveals a hidden process. Glitch is also very present in the visual and musical work I've seen. For Rosa McMahon, Glitch is a way to deconstruct and understand a technology like the JPEG compression format. With Glitch, she reveals some bias in JPEG with her work behind white shadows. The organic alterity of Freaks is in fact the continuity of the post-digital aesthetic defined by Kim Kaskon as the aesthetic of failure. Kim Kaskon himself said that glitch and noise sound were the realization of something that went wrong with our technological system. I believe that failure of technology is also the failure of capitalist realism. The problem is the failure can be commodified as well. In fact, everything can be commodified. You have here the actor Rami Malek from Mr. Robot, who became the new model for Yves Saint Laurent a few weeks ago. So we have a sort of resistance here with the conceptual and sensible strategy against the systemic oppression of capitalism. The problem is every cultural resistance is played by the rules of capitalism. So what can still be done? Intercreativity is a strategy used to resist. We saw it with the Joker memes, but it is used widely by everyone on internet. Intercreativity is the process of changing and sharing things out of their original context. It was also defined by Tim Berners-Lee as the process of making things or solving problems together. This process uses collaboration as its core. It is also used by artists to resist capitalism rules. For example, Square Pusher started the project Midi Sans Frontières in 2016. As you can see, it is a clear reference to Doctors Without Borders. The track Midi Sans Frontières was a composition designed as a response to the Brexit votes. Square Pusher shared MIDI data and musical notes of his work to let people interact and create their own vision of the composition. For the artist, this was an opportunity to reaffirm some of those connections amidst a very disturbing situation. Another instance of intercreativity could be Auteker. They dropped the album Christis in 2008. 10 years later, they shared their files from Christis live set on Electron, Nord, and MPC gear. Everyone with the right machine or laptop could then use their sound, recreate their life at home, bend their work, and modify it. FXTwin did his part too. In 2015, he shared hundreds of tracks on an anonymous SoundCloud account named User with a serial number. These dehumanized names refer to the numerous bots living on SoundCloud like ghosts. This act was done against Warp Records' will, but he did it anyway. On the other side, he asked a 12-year-old boy named Ryan Wire to produce a video clip for his Cheetah EP. Ryan Wire was spotted because of his YouTube channel, broadcasting many electronic artists and creating homemade video clips. So intercreativity is at the core of this aesthetic. It is also a way to create a different system of production focused on collaboration without hierarchy. We could extend that with the work of the anarchist terrorist Kropotkin. He stressed the importance of collaboration to survive, and intercreativity acts like an anarchist system, collaboration without hierarchy. Kropotkin also proposed to create a science to understand the need of society and adapt the production to those needs. In every other political system, production comes first and can create artificial needs. According to Paul Mason, who wrote Post-Capitalism, free access philosophy seen in Wikipedia could take down capitalism. The knowledge online, as well as data, art, or softwares, is the new capital. It is also becoming free with peer-to-peer sharing and intercreativity. In fact, it is always a matter of what is visible and what is invisible. Systemic oppression of capitalism is slowly made visible in popular culture, but capitalism itself is a parasite hiding in our life. Artists and activists like Zach Blass try to reverse this kind of domination by reversing what is visible and invisible. For example, you can see here the result of his workshop, Facial Weaponization. This work tries to build masks for people to protect themselves from face recognition systems. While Zach Blass tried to make invisible people, James Riddle tried to make visible the technology surrounding us. His work tried to reverse the visibility by following data centers line or exposing drone shadows. His book, The New Dark Age, is in fact a way to make our future visible, to understand and change how technology modifies our lives. As Rosa McMahon said, glitch is the result of making visible a process, something hide inside. All these practices and works are in fact based upon making visible the invisible and building collaboration with intercreativity. Such practices like circuit bendings, data bendings, samplings, or DIY are deeply encouraged by intercreativity. They can relate to the notion of bricolage. Brecolage is a French word from Claude Lévi-Strauss. It is the act of modifying old signs to create new ones. This creation is based upon intuition and serendipity. And it seems more able to embrace the uncertainty of our new dark age. Many artists seem indeed to develop an aesthetic directed towards spiritual concerns and phantasmagoria. For example, Holly Hansdon's album Proto is a tentative to create a mixed creation between the future of technology with AI and the past of timeless folk singing. I think the solution for change is in this kind of strategy around intercreativity, reverse visibility, and bricolage. To conclude, I'd like to show you this image of Julian Assange, extracted from the Ecuadorian embassy. It is probably because WikiLeaks was such an organization of reverse visibility and collaboration to reverse the power of authoritarian capitalism that he was isolated for so many times. According to Nils Melzer, the United Nations Special Rapporteur on Torture and Ill Treatment, Assange's punishment can only be described as a psychological torture. His judgment should be at the end of the month, and we can only hope he will not be given to the United States.